views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hola, everyone, and welcome to Open, the one and only show bringing the best of the Bronx, New York, and the world straight to you. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche every Friday. Here's what's coming up in today's show. Leading things off, we're celebrating Women's History Month with Bronx author Dahlma Llanos-Figueroa to discuss her book tour for the 10th anniversary of her novel, Daughters of the Stone. After that, we'll learn about Inner You Diagnosed, an upcoming film exploring the health concerns of IUDs from women across the world. Then we'll learn about the difference prime Latino media has made in the East Coast and what the future holds when we speak with founder and executive producer Luis Perego Moreno. And later on in the show, Bobby C brings us up to date with the latest headlines in the world of sports. And finally, our Open Artist Spotlight features the AIM Company dancers who will share more about the dance organization's interdisciplinary style, followed by a performance you don't want to miss. So sit back y prepárate. All this and more is headed your way because now we are officially open. Hello and welcome to Open, everyone. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche for the next hour. Always inviting you to get social with us online, that is. Tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV and like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, while you're there, don't forget, follow moi on Twitter, Instagram, FB, Insta Stories, LinkedIn, Snapchat at Rhina Valentin. It is still Women's History Month, although every day is Women's History Month. And today we honor Puerto Rican actor / dancer Rita Moreno. She's made history, becoming the first Hispanic woman to receive an Oscar for her role as Anita in West Side Story. In 2004, she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and she is one of the 15 people to achieve EGOT status, which means winning an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and a Tony. Throughout her career, she was able to break racial barriers, paving the way for future actresses of color to come. Let's give it up for the incomparable Rita Moreno. All right, so our first guest is a Puerto Rican novelist who's been published in over 20 anthologies and literary journals across the United States, Africa, and Brazil. She's currently celebrating the 10th anniversary edition of her book, Daughters of a Stone, a story of an Afro-Puerto Rican family spanning 5 generations, detailing their physical and spiritual journey from Old World to New World. And joining us to tell us more about the book, along with the book tour, we welcome author Dahlma Llanos-Figueroa. Hello and welcome.
Good morning.
Great
to see you. Great to see you again.
Oh, it's great to have you here. An honor. Thank you for stopping by our studios in the midst of your tour. Congratulations on your 10th anniversary. Aside from that, I mean, just congratulations on making a mark for Afro-Latinas.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I saw an empty space that needed to be filled, and I felt that I needed to fill it.
And, you know, the beauty of it is that really, you're just really speaking from an authentic voice, right? I mean, you're writing a novel, but it's just what you represent. And the fact that it's been, it's studied in schools, it's used in colleges. I mean, let's talk a little bit about that journey.
Wow, that's a big journey. I, like most writers, sit in my office and write by myself with no guarantee that it's ever going to be published. So when it was published, it was a great celebration for me. And the book has been embraced by so many people, Puerto Ricans, Afro-Latinos, Latinos in general, African-American readers, and just readers in general, which is exactly what I wanted. Because even though this story is grounded in the 150-year journey of an Afro-Puerto Rican family, told from a women's point of view, it's really a universal story of people who come to the United States and make a life for themselves. And it explodes a lot of the stereotypes and brings to the fore just the lives of ordinary people.
And so, just in the era we're living in now, right?
Yes.
Isn't it sad that we're still kind of like dealing with something that is probably just as relevant 150 years ago?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I pride myself in trying to address universal issues. And I think that this book is as relevant today as when it came out 10 years ago. And it's a real prism of a way of looking at different facets of many situations, whether it's mother-daughter relationships, whether it's immigration, whether it's colonialism, whether it's enslaved peoples. It gives, I hope it presents an opportunity for people to have a dialogue without getting frustrated and angry and accusatory. It's like, let's talk about what happened and let's see what we have in common.
So, how much of your characters have in common with your real life? I'm sorry, I have to pry just a little bit, just a little bit.
Well, it's 150 years, so it's
Right.
definitely not a biography, and it's not a memoir. But it comes out of the stories that I heard of as a child in rural Puerto Rico, and stories that I think every culture has a grandmother that tells stories to their grandchildren of the old country in Italy or Eastern Europe or Africa. Parents try and pass on the treasure of their culture to their kids. And the question is, what do you take in? What do you put aside? What will help you get to the next stage of your life?
And so, in this book tour, what do you hope to accomplish 10 years later?
Well, I hope that I'll reach more people than I did initially. I also love the idea of talking to people because, as I said, when you're writing, it's a monologue.
Right.
But when you talk to readers, it's a dialogue.
And I would imagine, like 10 years later, coming across people who have already read it.
Absolutely.
What kind of reflection is that on you? How does it reflect on you, right? Because there's a dialogue that's now almost kind of coming from a place of being inside your thoughts.
Right. It's interesting having people read your work and assume that it's you. Sometimes you feel kind of naked standing there.
Right.
But it also is a testament to not so much me as my characters, who have touched people and continue to touch people, and hopefully will continue to touch people into the future.
For many years to come.
So it's great having a professor invite me to her class who was introduced to my book when she was a student, and now she's introducing me to her students. So I think that's a wonderful thing.
It's lovely. It's lovely.
Yeah.
So where can people participate in your tour? Do you have a schedule lined up?
There is a schedule on my website. I think you have it, Dahlma Llanos-Figueroa.com. And we are still open to speaking to more people. I just spoke at Hunter College yesterday. I'll be doing some neighborhood talks throughout the Bronx, Massachusetts, perhaps even Miami, so who knows?
So what would you like to leave any young aspiring authors with based on your journey thus far?
Okay. I think the advice that I would give to all young authors is that there are many stories that have yet to be told, and they need to be told. I cannot tell the story of 21st century Puerto Ricans in New York City. That's a story that they have to tell. And I respect the voices that are coming up because they are our future.
Right, and at the end of the day, we need it documented. That's how we're going to be able to pass it on to the next generation.
Absolutely.
And thank you for blessing us with such.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
All right, you guys, once again, for more on Dahlma's book tour, you can visit her website by going to Dahlma Llanos-Figueroa.com. We have to take a quick break, but coming up, we'll talk about a film bringing light to a birth control affecting a lot of women. Don't go anywhere.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to Open, everyone. So many women throughout the U.S. use the IUD, a contraceptive that can last over 5 years to help prevent pregnancy. Over the years, many women have experienced harmful side effects to their body due to the IUD. And according to research, advertisers fail to inform consumers about the side effects while only listing a few. Our next guest decided to create a film shedding light on this issue. Let's take a sneak peek at the film Inner You Diagnosed.
I felt again this sensation in my stomach, and I said, no, I can't, this is something else. So I went back on the internet and searched IUD. I started reading thousands of stories, the same stories as myself.
Anxiété,
des segments de gencives,
ovarial cyst,
problèmes de
O dolore pelvico,
cabe,
creșterea greutății.
The side effects group is not to debate whether IUDs are bad for us or not. It's to give support to the women that are suffering side effects.
There's something wrong with the car and it causes issues in the car. There's a recall and all the owners know about it. But this was in our bodies, this is in a female body and nobody told us.
And joining us to tell us more about Inner You Diagnosed, the film, please welcome director and executive producer Catherine Shasha. Hello and welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Thank you for being here. This is a very serious topic.
It is.
I'm very curious to know what inspired you to even capture it. Is this something that personally affected you?
It is, yes. About 4 years ago, I was rushed to the hospital with full body convulsions, and I had been sick for about 2 years with misdiagnosed illnesses, lots of them. But at the emergency room, an emergency room nurse said to me, "Did you ever, were you ever told this could be your IUD?" And I had not.
What were some of the symptoms, if you don't mind me asking?
I had numbness on my whole left side, temporary paralysis in my left foot. I had to learn how to walk with a walker again, memory loss, bleeding gums.
Wow, that's pretty extreme.
Yes.
Coming from a foreign object that's been inserted in your body, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Right, exactly.
Wow. So, okay. So you went through all of these, I guess, checkups, and it took how long for them to conclude that it was possibly the IUD? Well, obviously, you wrote, you created a whole film about it. So,
right.
How long was that before you figured it out?
As soon as the nurse told me that, I went right to the internet and searched up IUDs and side effects, and saw thousands of women similar to myself that had the same story, where they were sick and they also became aware that it could be the IUD. So I had it removed 3 days later, and immediately almost all of my symptoms were gone.
Wow, that's interesting. So just out of curiosity, right, there was a certain, I want to say, era in which IUDs were very popular, right? So what was that era, and how popular is it now? And do people even still insert IUDs?
Not only do they still insert them, but they're more popular than ever. Back in the 70s, the Dalcon Shield was a well-known IUD that was in the market. And that IUD caused several women to die, and also a lot of infertility. So the history of the IUD is not very positive.
Right, it's not. And I know you're still working on the film. I mean, and I know this is a little bit of a Debbie Downer topic. However, it's something that needs to be brought into light, because from what I understand, in China, they actually make women put IUDs in, and it's the means of controlling population.
They do. It's interesting, though, if you speak to, I've spoken to women from China, and their culture is different, and they actually appreciate the fact that they're getting the IUD inserted, because they won't have to pay for another child to go through schooling. For them, it's a financial benefit,
right,
and it helps them. So depending on your culture, it could actually be a positive for some people.
That's interesting, though, right? Just as a human being, these considerations in which we take care or just care for our bodies at the end of the day, right? And the fact that we're also domesticated to a place of just even accepting putting something foreign in there to prevent birthing life.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I want to be sure that people understand that when we're doing this film project, it's not to prevent, people from having the choice to use birth control and that type of thing. We really want people to be aware and informed of just the side effects, so they can make proper decisions and know when their health is in danger.
And I understand that you've actually spoken to women from all parts of the world.
Yes.
Right? And so what is the general consensus that's common?
That their doctors either persuaded them to get the IUD, or that they were highly recommended, and then once they got them, they found out that they were having, constant side effects or a feeling of just not feeling right. And when they tried to get them removed, they were almost hit with the doctors didn't want to remove them. The doctors were kind of hesitant and said, the side effect couldn't be possibly the IUD, and you're doing too much online, you're reading too much, and kind of disregarding them.
So what do you hope for people to walk away with after seeing this film?
I just hope that they have awareness as to what possible risks are out there. You know, there are a lot of common side effects, and I think it's being touted as, you know, there are none, little to none. It's all you hear is there are little to no side effects, little to no side effects, and I think it's so important for people to know there are side effects. There's side effects with everything, and it's important to do the research.
And so, just in closing, I have to ask you this. Do you find that having produced this film was a way of you, I guess, providing yourself with therapy to overcome what you had to endure?
I think in a lot of ways it's helped me to deal with the fact that I felt almost violated. I felt like I was tricked into getting something that was harmful to my body, and being able to help other women so they don't have to go through what I did, or that if they're having any issues, they can recognize them. That's therapeutic to me.
So where can people see what has been produced so far? Because I know it's not finished.
Right. The film is not complete. If they go to our website, they can follow along with our production and get updates, which is www.inneryoodiagnose.com. As far as learning more, there's a Facebook page called IUD Awareness that I highly recommend if anyone's questioning or having, you know, side effects.
Well, we appreciate you. I appreciate you, Catherine, for coming and just standing in the forefront and being brave to just release and let go of it, and in the process helping others along the way. So thank you for coming and sharing it here with our viewers.
Thank you very
much. All right, you guys, once again, for more updates on Inner You Diagnose, you can visit inneryoudiagnose.com. We have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll hear about a staple Latino media company that's made its mark on the East Coast when we return.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. My name is Harvey Lauer. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Hello and welcome back to Open, everyone. Don't forget to get social with us. That's right. Tweet us at BronxNet TV, and while you're there, tweet me too at Rhina Valentin. Our next guest is the founder of Prime Latino Media, the largest network spanning from the East Coast to the Caribbean, which includes independent Latino multimedia makers, actors, and musicians. The company showcases creatives who produce everything from documentaries to TV shows. And here now to share more, we welcome Luis Perego Moreno, also known as Tío Luis. Welcome.
You, Rhina.
Por fin llegaste here on Open.
Back home to the Bronx.
There you go.
And this is our 15th anniversary that I know you.
Well, wow, it's our 15th anniversary. Yep. However, I don't know if people know that your origins are from the Bronx. So, yep. I mean, thank you for coming back home, right? Because, I mean, you and I, we see each other regularly. However, for those who may have had an encounter with you or you've been able to sprinkle some of your fairy dust on, let's talk a little bit about your journey starting here in the Bronx.
And I was born here. I'm Cuban Argentine, but I'm always very clear. I say I'm Cuban, Argentine, Puerto Rican, because had it not been for the Puerto Rican community, I would not be here, you know. And basically, they raised me. So I'm a proud Bronxite. When I travel abroad and I come back to the States, and they say, what country are you from? Because they want to make sure as you're clearing U.S. Customs that you really belong to us.
Right.
And they ask what country you're from. I say, from the Bronx.
Right.
And of course, they just send me through.
Right. That's good. That's good. They know better. They know. And so, while your journey here in the Bronx, okay, so I did introduce Prime Latino Media. However, I didn't introduce Skyline Features, right? So, Skyline came first.
Skyline came
Let's
first.
just give everybody a little insight about the next generation of individuals that you've helped along the way that continue to be in your path as well.
I mean, I'm bilingual,
Right.
bicultural, Latino, English and Spanish, but I'm also very grateful that in the Bronx I studied German. And my first big job out of college was working, and I went to college to be an OBGYN, but instead of delivering babies, I'm delivering films. But it was German, my background in German, that helped me land my first job, which was in journalism. So I actually started in foreign journalism, specifically to Germany and the German part of Switzerland, 37 years ago when we opened. You know, after a year of working with this journalist and looking for pictures, I then launched an international photographic agency 37 years ago, and then we just gravitated after 6 years to become from the still image to the moving image.
Nice. And so then from there, I'm trying to give everybody a little background on the origins of how Prime Latino even morphed itself, because I know that you've shared with me, and I think it's a wonderful statement that you made, that your most fulfilling time was working with the next generation. And since that's what we do here at BronxNet, we work with the next generation, I would love to hear your just a little insight as to what it is that you get to walk away with and feeling so fulfilled.
I mean, after getting fried, you know, and I guess also we change careers or jobs.
Right.
You know, doing foreign journalism, you know, about news, celebrities, feature stories. That's when, you know, I hit my mid-30s. I was like, how am I paying my rent on this planet?
Right.
How am I making a difference? And that's when I launched a nonprofit organization, Skyline Community, which was devoted to Black and Latino youth, in training them to produce video, specifically documentaries. And in 10 years, we made 70 documentary shorts on social, public, and mental health issues, and 1,500 kids graduated from that program.
That's wonderful, and congratulations on that. I'm sure you feel seriously accomplished just by that alone, right?
I could die tomorrow, and I would feel that I paid my rent on this planet.
I hear you. That's what another wonderful statement. And so I also wanted to loan that just really briefly and quickly mention that you also are partnered up with Pregones PRTT for the 21 Islands Festival, which is also international. And so that it's interesting how it's still part of I'm trying to find the words for it, because you have your hands in various areas, and I'm trying to make sure that you guys don't get lost in what it is that Theo Louis does, because he is really there assisting every aspect of the media arts in whatever form and whatever way he can. And while he has some who he's kind of raised, for lack of a better word, who now work with him, he's still in there in the game of discovering. And I personally genuinely appreciate that about you. And so the 21 Islands Festival, how did you form that partnership?
That was Melissa Ramos, who's with Pregones, invited me to help her over a year ago. And now what it's evolved to, you know, aside from this wonderful film festival at Pregones that happens once a year, happened just in February, where they feature films from islands around the world, island countries, islands that belong to a country. And then from that, it went so well, we've done it now 2 years together, that we're doing Bronx Film Wednesdays. The first Wednesday of every month, 7 to 10 p.m. at Pregones, we host the Bronx Film Wednesdays. And it's bringing world-class films to the South Bronx.
And that's going on right now.
The next one
So
is
Bronx Film Wednesdays is here at Pregones in the Bronx. And I'm sorry, you were saying the next one is?
April 3rd, Wednesday, April 3rd. And where we always play a feature, and 3 shorts that derived from the 21 Islands International Short Film Festival,
And they
because
can
that's
go-
its specialty.
Right, of course. And so they can go to Pregone's website for the details on the Bronx Wednesdays. But the idea is that you guys know that there's this unique way of seeing film and cinema at the Pregone's Theater every Wednesday.
And it's free.
And it's free. Oh my God, that's my favorite word, free 99. And so, and it's beautiful because it's being offered, you're being offered the opportunity to experience different filmmakers as well as different parts of the world. I know I was part of the 21 Islands Festival. I was one of the judges. I was one of the jurors.
Yeah.
And it was really, really refreshing to just kind of transport myself to different parts of the world just by seeing these films. They were in different languages, but the subtitles were there and allowed me to pretty much get the grasp, the gist of everything that was occurring within the scenes. And so I don't want to get too caught
Right,
up in
no,
that
no,
because I want
but
to make sure
just-
we talk about Prime Latino
Right.
Media, right? And I was just mentioning the 21 Islands to lead up to Prime Latino Media because I know that you have a big announcement that you want to make with Prime Latino Media. However, I want to mention the salon and how you've been able to keep that going and just your network. It's amazing. It's amazing the people that you highlight and showcase and are part of your whole cipher.
So now, after having raised kids, 25, 26 years ago, and a lot of my kids now who are teenagers are approaching 40, I'm now devoting my life to proven mid-level multimedia makers, actors, and musicians who are independent Latino and advancing their careers and their projects. So we gather once a month. We're 7 years old. We gather once a month where we network, and I interview a multimedia maker, an actor, and the musician always ends up, after the interview, performing live. And it's a way, what I like to consider, and it's not a bad title, best kept secrets. Once you're established, you don't need me. But I like to focus on people that are mid-level, that have a proven track record, and all they need is like one push up that rung. And that's what we do. And our announcement?
Yes, before we go, we got to make that quick.
And
I wanna
we're
make sure we
announcing
get
it
in there.
right here, on BronxNet, on your show, that we have always wanted to do a Latino film festival, and that we hope to launch one, Prime Latino Media Festival, from October 20th through the 27th here in New York City. We're still exploring the venues and stuff like that. But our objective is to screen independent Latino film, television, and new media, as well as a 2-day conference, because we all need to improve our skills, and a 2-day media market where we introduce some of these proven multimedia content creators with power players. Because again, that's what they need to become part of the Old Boys Club, or as we call it, the Old Boys and Girls Club.
Yes, thank you for including us. It is Women's History Month after all.
Which is why we're proud to have Estela Institute out of Prime Latino Media that's devoted to independent Latina multimedia makers, actresses, and musicians in pushing their careers forward as a production company.
That's lovely. Wow. I know, you have your hands in everything, boy. I'm not going to call you Tío Louis anymore. I'm going to call you Octopus Tío Louis. Oh, lovely. And thank you. And thank
No
you
different
for your
than
service to us.
No
well,
different
you
than
know,
15 years.
yeah.
I mean, our community could not exist in New York City without you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And we're really looking forward to this new film festival that's going to begin October 20th, right, through the 27th. And that's this year, 2019. And he said it here first, you guys.
Absolutely.
So make sure for more on Prime Latino Media and to learn more about the film festival, visit primelatinomedia.com. We're going to take a quick break, but stay tuned. Bobby C's Weekly Sports Roundup is coming up next.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen,
Double points with every purchase?
cleverly merging promotions,
Love it.
cross-referencing travel sites, and booking all your flights with those.
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like, aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
We begin on the college hardwood where the dancing is underway. My C list for Monday is already busted. St. John's is out. The Red Storm star guard Samori Pons accomplished part of the mission in getting the program back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2015. But despite his many efforts, St. John's came up short. It fell in a deep hole early against Arizona State, threatened to get back in the game, but never really did, ultimately falling short 74-65 in the first four loss at Dayton this week. Pons had 25 points on 8 for 20 shooting and 4 assists for the Storm. And what was almost certainly his final collegiate game, he and LJ Figueroa, 19 points, were the point men, helping close within 7 twice in the final 3:41 before St. John's bowed out. St. John's ends its season 21-13, and though it halted the NCAA tournament drought, it still hasn't won a game in the tournament since 2000. After the big win against Villanova, it crashed, dropping 6 of its final 8 games. I really thought the passing of Chris Mullen's older brother, coupled with sneaking into the tournament, would give St. John's new life. Mullen and the Red Storm snagged the final at-large spot in the field of 68, giving the fourth-year coach his first trip to the tournament since returning to his alma mater in 2015. That milestone comes on the heels of a low point in his life. As I mentioned, Rod Mullen, Chris's older brother and role model, died after a battle with cancer less than 2 weeks ago. On to more positive news from March Madness. How about the Fordham women's basketball team? They are heading to Syracuse. Game time is 1 p.m. Saturday, and you can listen to all the action on WFUV 90.7 FM. The Fordham women have had some week already. Jimmy Fallon welcomed them to the Tonight Show. I think they'll upset Syracuse, but clearly you can see my love for upsets in March Madness. The Iona College men's team takes on North Carolina today. That's one upset that I don't see, but I'll be rooting hard for the Gales, no doubt. 16 seed versus the 1 seed. That game gets underway tonight at 9:20 p.m. You can watch that game on TNT. March Madness continues as the second half of the round of 64 of the NCAA tournament kicks off today on the men's side. First game of the afternoon is Cincinnati against Iowa, which tips at 12:15. We shift gears to the baseball diamond where the season is officially underway. It got going in Japan this week. More on that in a moment. Meanwhile, Rhina, we need to start hanging out with Mike Trout. Yes, we do. Show me the money. Trout and the Los Angeles Angels announced their $426.5 million 12-year contract on Wednesday night, a record deal that tops baseball's top player and attaches him to the Orange County Club for what will likely be the rest of his career. Trout gets a $20 million signing bonus payable this May 31st and salaries of $16 million this year, $36 million in 2020, and $35.45 million in each of the final 10 years. Yes, that's what I said. He cannot be traded without his consent and gets a hotel suite. That sounds good, Rhina. On the road trips, he also receives 4 Diamond Club tickets plus a luxury suite for 20 games this year, and for the remainder of the contract by each of January 2nd, I think it is, he can pick up those Diamond Club tickets for the suite dates for that season. Whatever. His deal tops the previous high set when Bryce Harper and Philadelphia struck a $330 million 13-year agreement earlier in spring training. I'll tell you why the Yankees need to lock up Aaron Judge now in the C list, so stay tuned for that. The Houston Astros have locked up yet another key member of their 2017 World Series team. Third baseman Alex Bregman has reportedly agreed to a 5-year, $100 million extension to remain with the Astros. While teams are rewarding really good players, Gio Gonzalez is eager to reward the New York Yankees. The Yankees announced Wednesday that they had signed the veteran left-hander to a minor league contract, hoping the two-time All-Star can help a hobbled rotation. Gonzalez said the Yankees' offer earlier this week was the lone serious one he had received. If added to the 40-man roster, he would get a $3 million salary bonus while in the major leagues and the chance to earn $9 million in performance bonuses, $300,000 for each start through 30. The 33-year-old Gonzalez is a nice flyer for the Bombers. Look out for balls, folks. Pinstriper guest instructor Lee Mazzilli was hit in the head by a ball during batting practice on Wednesday in Tampa, Florida. That's a lesson you got to learn. And transported to a local hospital, the 63-year-old was working out at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa with players who did not travel to the Yankees game against Houston on Wednesday in West Palm Beach. Apparently, he's doing okay now. Yankees reliever Dylan Betances is not doing okay. He has inflammation in his right shoulder and will start the regular season on the injured list. General manager Brian Cashman said an MRI was done on Betances on Tuesday after the 6'8", 265-pound right-hander continued to lack velocity in his fastball. Betances, who normally only reached the upper 90s, has topped at 92 or 93 throughout spring training. Betances said he will not throw for 3 to 5 days, but doesn't think it's a long-term issue. Let's hope not. Retirement is a long-term issue, and it's one that I suppose we will all have to come to grips with at some point. Ichiro has left the game, folks. The 45-year-old Seattle Mariners star announced his retirement Thursday night shortly after waving goodbye at the Tokyo Dome during a 5-4 win over Oakland in 12 innings. Ichiro went 0 for 4 and was pulled from right field in the 8th, saluting his adoring fans in the packed crowd. He drew hugs, some of them tearful, from teammates, and a 3-minute walk that singled to all the end of his great career. Hall of Famer, first ballot. Deloading and a Hall of Fame performance for the Brooklyn Nets. The Kings led the Nets 103-78 through 3 quarters in Sacramento, and what looked like a blowout on top of heartbreak for the Nets. But D'Angelo Russell led the Nets in a massive fourth-quarter rally that saw Brooklyn outscore Sacramento. Check this one, 45-18 in the final stanza to complete a stunning comeback capped by Rondae Hollis-Jefferson's game-winning layup with 0.8 seconds remaining. Russell scored 27 of his game-high and career-high 44 points in the final quarter to go with 12 assists and 4 rebounds in a 123-121 win. The rally from 28 points down was the largest in Nets history. Some performance by D'Angelo Russell. The Nets visit the Lakers in L.A. Brooklyn has lost 3 of its last 4 games. Tip is at 10:30. The Knicks host the Denver Nuggets at the Garden. New York has dropped its past 2 games. Tip is 7:30 tonight at MSG. The Phoenix Suns have reached a deal to sign guard Jimmer Fredette. Sources confirm the 2-year deal has a team option in the second year. The deal was first reported by 98.7 FM Arizona Sports. The 2011 Naismith College Player of the Year at BYU. Fredette played the past 3 seasons in the Chinese Basketball Association. In November, he scored 75 points for the Shanghai Sharks in a loss. The 30-year-old was the 10th overall pick in 2011. The Milwaukee Bucks selected him and, of course, traded him to the Sacramento Kings. The Suns will be the 5th NBA stop for Fredette, who last played for the Knicks during the 15-16 season. Kind of fitting that Jimmer finds a new NBA home during March Madness. Indeed. Former President George W. Bush has made a hole-in-one at a Dallas golf course that will soon host his institute's Warrior Open, honoring wounded U.S. military personnel. A photo posted Wednesday on Bush's Instagram account shows the beaming 43rd U.S. president holding a golf ball on the green of the par 3 12th hole of Trinity Forest Golf Club. That's kind of cool. Former San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick and current Carolina Panthers safety Eric Reid settled their collusion grievances against the NFL, but according to a Wall Street Journal report, they will receive less than $10 million. Kaepernick filed a grievance in October 2017 under the collective bargaining agreement, alleging collusion against signing him to an NFL contract. He led the movement of players kneeling during the national anthem to protest racial inequality and police brutality. While with the Niners, Reid was the first player to join Kaepernick in kneeling. TJ Dillashaw relinquished his UFC bantamweight title championship Wednesday after the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency and the New York State Athletic Commission informed him of an adverse analytical finding in a drug test dating back to his most recent fight in January in Brooklyn. TJ is out, but Dana White isn't going anywhere. The UFC president announced Monday that he has agreed to a new 7-year deal to continue running the world's leading mixed martial arts circuit. Anthony Pettis aims to stop a 4-year slide by stepping up this weekend in the octagon. Pettis attained stardom in 2014, winning a world title and even gracing a Wheaties box. But after losing 6 of his past 9 fights, Showtime is just looking to get back on track as he moves to welterweight for Saturday's UFC Fight Night main event. As Pettis, who is 21-8, prepares to move to welterweight for the first time in his career against Stephen Thompson in Nashville, Tennessee. He's still trying to define Pettis 2.0, and he admits that the past 4 years of his career have not been easy. The main card starts at 8 p.m. Saturday night. Top UFC lightweights Al Iaquinta and Donald Cowboy Cerrone have verbally agreed to a fight as the main event of UFC Fight Night Ottawa on May 4th. Multiple sources told ESPN Cerrone has been vocal about fighting former UFC lightweight and featherweight champion Conor McGregor, but the promotion went a different direction. Cowboy is coming off 2 straight wins, most recently a dominant second-round TKO win against rising prospect Alexander Hernandez in January. Those are the headlines. We hit the C-list for Judgment Day for the Yankees. Well, maybe not Judgment Day just yet. The Yankees have star Aaron Judge under player control. He's still making just peanuts for the Yankees, but at some point he won't be. And if I'm the Yanks, I don't let Judge become a free agent. In fact, I try to work out an extension now that could actually save the Bombers later. Maybe offer something like 8 years, $300 million, then we'll be partying with Aaron Judge, Rhina. Judge is probably worth more than that. The 26-year-old has been an everyday player since 2017, yet in that time he's racked up an impressive .993 OPS, 79 homers, and 13.6 wins above replacement, according to Baseball Reference. Judge's claim to fame is being a dangerous slugger, a muscle-bound 6'7", 282-pound beast. He certainly looks the part. He also acts it. Out of all the batters who have put at least 500 balls in play over the last 2 seasons, he leads everyone in exit velocity at an average of 94.7 miles per hour. His home runs tend to be particularly extraordinarily displays of power, as he's topped out at 121 miles per hour in speed and 495 feet in distance. He's a show, folks. And yes, he's only 26, and he's a homegrown Yankee. Judge is also an exceptional right fielder who's racked up 23 defensive runs saved since 2017. It can be justifiably assumed that that won't last forever, but there's little reason to expect that his bat will stop carrying him and the Yanks anytime soon. As Manny Machado and Bryce Harper signed elsewhere, it became clear to me that the Yanks were saving their pennies for Judge and some of the other young stars on the team. Time for Cashman to play. Let's make a deal with the biggest of those young stars. That's your sports. I'm Bobby C.
Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Hey, welcome back to Open, everyone. Expression through movement, sound, and shape is what AIM Dance Company creates. Under the artistic direction of Kyle Abraham, company dancers from various disciplines and diverse backgrounds come together to bring different stories and ideas into fruition. And joining us to tell us about AIM, along with their upcoming performance, we welcome company dancers Marcella Lewis and Kerati Jenna Nowipat. Did I say it right?
Kind of.
I know, I did it, I wanted to make sure I pronounced every single syllable.
Jenna Kunwipat.
Jenna Kunwipat.
Yes, excellent.
Yes, and where does that name, where the origins of that name?
Thai.
You're from Thai? You're from Thailand?
Yeah. Well, I'm from Chicago, but my family's from Thailand.
Right. I like that. I like that. She's like, I'm an urban Thailander.
Just American.
Asian American. Got it. Welcome, ladies. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how you became company members. Let's start there. With AIM Company, right? Because based on what I've observed, the company definitely captivates stories that have a social relevance, and the way the storytelling is done through the movements. It's not just about dance. There's more to it than that. There's this other underlying component. So how was there an audition process, and how long have you been with this company?
Absolutely. I've been with the company for 2.5 years. I joined pretty much right after college. Kyle came and taught a master class at my school, and that's sort of how I got to know him. And right after I graduated, I was pretty much in the company. And definitely one of the reasons why I joined the company was because of how conscious he is of the climate, the social, political climate in America.
Beautiful. And Kerati?
Yes. So I've been in the company for about 2 years. I started as an apprentice swing and came on full-time in the fall. I also got familiar with him when we went to school at Purchase. So it's nice that we've taken this journey together through college and onward. Yeah, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Okay.
Yeah, and it's very important to me. I remember seeing a piece at the Joyce Theater titled Absent Matter, and it commented a lot on the Black Lives Matter movement and social injustice, and seeing that the piece had so much power to it, along with the dancers. He was able to just make a beautiful piece out of movement, music, and message all together, and seeing that it was a community that I wanted to be a part of and was inspired by.
So how many of you are there all together in the company?
There are 7 full-time members and 4 apprentices.
And how do you decide what the message is going to be? I mean, is that just the choreographer that decides, or do you guys do like an improvisation and kind of like just relate through body movement?
Well, it's definitely a collaborative effort. I think Kyle has an idea, and a lot of times it's just what's going on, and we'll just talk about it, and it sort of just comes into fruition because of our anger or sadness of what's happening.
Right.
And it usually comes from conversation, and then from there we start exploring movement.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what you're going to present for us today. And so why don't you set it up, because we're about to present you on our Open Artist Spotlight. What are you guys presenting today?
So we're doing an excerpt from Live the Realist MC, which will be performing at NYU Skirball April 4 through 6 at 7:30 p.m. So make sure you get your tickets.
Got that. And what does the piece tell in its movement? Or do you want people to just interpret it?
Well, I can
Talk
give
a
you,
little,
yeah.
please.
Live the Realist MC it's an evening length work that was choreographed in 2011, and it explores Kyle's exploration as being a Black gay male in a hip hop world.
And that's it,
yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
well, the rest we're going to see. The rest
Yeah.
we're going to see. I just wanted to give them a little teaser because we got to take a
okay.
break,
okay.
and then we're going to present. So thank you so much, Kirati,
Yes.
right? And Marcella. Thank you
Yes.
so much,
Thank
ladies.
you.
All right, once again, you guys, we got to take a quick break, but when we return, Marcella and Kirati, they're going to perform for us, so don't go anywhere. Hey, welcome back, everyone. It's now time for this week's Open Artist Spotlight. Now to perform an excerpt from Live the Realist MC, please welcome AIM Company dancer Kirati Janakamwipat. Yes. Yes, you want to catch your breath. All right, you guys, karate, everybody. AIM, they're going to be performing live the Realist MC from April 4th to April 6th at the NYU Skirball Center, which is located at 566 LaGuardia Place at Washington Square. And for tickets, you can visit nyuskirball.org. For more on AIM, please visit abraham.in.motion.org. That is our show today, mi gente. Thanks to all our guests for coming through and to you, our viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out the recast tonight and 24 hours a day at BronxNet.tv. I have a quick announcement today. We want to say thank you to one of our lovely directors, Lisi Dominguez. Today is her last day working with us. She's usually talking to me in my ear, and we want to thank you for all the hard work and dedication that you've put into BronxNet, and we are truly, genuinely, de corazón, going to miss you, Lisi. All right, I'm Rhina Valentin, and from all of us here at Open, may the universe provide paz, prosperity, y amor. Happy Women's History Month, everyone. Bye, Lisi.
We are together. And for the last 20 years, we have been building on a vision to share our views, our voices on our channels. We are the Bronx. We are BronxNet.